Marcus Webb had checked the lock on his front door 4 times before he made it to his truck. Not because the lock was broken, not because anyone had ever tried to break in. He checked it because his mind told him to. And for 19 years, he had never once told his mind no. He was 43 years old, and he could not remember the last night he had slept through without waking at 2 a.m. to run the tally. The mortgage payment due on the 9th, his daughter's dentist bill, the strange sound the truck made on cold mornings, whether he'd sent that email correctly, whether his boss's silence in the hallway meant something. Not that he was lazy, not that he lacked things to be grateful for, not that his life was in any particular crisis. What made him different was that his mind had never learned how to put a tool down once the job was finished. Every morning at 4:40, he sat at the same chipped kitchen table with the same cup of black coffee going cold beside him, running the same 3 worries in rotation: money, health, the kids, the way another man might rotate crops. His wife, Diane, had stopped asking what was wrong because the answer was always some version of nothing. I'm fine, just thinking. His coworker, Reggie, joked that Marcus could find a cloud in a clear sky, and Marcus always laughed along because it was easier than saying, I don't choose to look for the cloud. The looking happens on its own. The law of the trap, though nobody had ever said it to him plainly, was this: a mind that is never given a place to rest will build itself a home in the worst room in the house. He worked as a claims adjuster, 40 hours a week of other people's disasters, flooded basements, totaled cars, house fires. And somewhere in his second decade of processing other people's ruin, his own imagination had quietly taken up residence in the same neighborhood. He didn't need real trouble anymore. He manufactured it daily, out of nothing, the way a man might sharpen a knife long after there's anything left to cut. The low point came on an ordinary Tuesday. His daughter Ellie, 10 years old, had asked him 3 times to watch her cross the monkey bars at the park, and 3 times he had said, in a second, his eyes on his phone, refreshing a bank balance that hadn't changed since the last refresh. On the 4th try, she didn't ask again. She just did it alone and looked over afterward. Not hurt exactly, just quietly recalibrating what she could expect from him. That night, Marcus sat outside on the back step long after Diane and Ellie had gone to sleep. The porch light was off. He didn't check the lock. He just sat there, hands empty for the first time all day, and asked the dark a question he had never let himself ask out loud. When does this stop?
The old man from 2 houses down was named Otis, and Marcus had exchanged maybe a dozen words with him in 6 years, mostly about the weather, once about a fallen fence post. So it surprised him when, from the dark of his own porch, Otis's voice came across the yards. Warm night for sitting still. Marcus didn't answer right away. Otis didn't fill the silence either. He just came around through the gap in the hedge, lowered himself onto the step next to Marcus, like he'd been invited weeks ago, and waited. There was no pity in it. He didn't ask what was wrong. He sat like a man who already knew the shape of the question and was simply waiting for Marcus to get tired of holding it alone. You know what a mill race is? Otis finally said. Marcus shook his head. Before the town put in the electric grid, there was a channel cut alongside the creek, about a mile from here, ran the old grain mill. A fellow named Harlan Voss dug it, by hand, back in the 30s. Took him the better part of 2 years. Otis picked up a pebble, turned it over in his fingers. The thing about a mill race is, the creek's always moving. Water doesn't stop for you. Question was never how to stop it. Question was where to send it. What happened to Harlan? Before the channel, he tried to dam the whole creek, build a wall, hold it all back at once. Otis shook his head slowly. Creek doesn't care about your wall. It rose right over it in the first hard rain, took the wall out, flooded his lower field besides, nearly broke him. Man spent a winter thinking he'd have to sell the land. So what changed? He stopped trying to stop the water. Otis set the pebble down on the step between them, deliberate, like he was placing a marker. Dug a channel instead, narrow, off to the side, gave the creek somewhere to go that wasn't through his front door. Come spring, that same water that near ruined him was turning a millstone, grinding grain for the whole county. Same water, Marcus. He didn't get less of it. He gave it a job. Marcus looked at the pebble sitting there in the dark. You're not talking about a creek. Otis almost smiled. Man's mind is the same as any moving water. It does not stop because you tell it to stop. It was never going to stop. The only thing you get to decide is what channel it runs in. He stood up, knees cracking, and paused at the gap in the hedge. A mind that has no channel will flood whatever room it's standing in, he said. "That's not a curse on you, son. That's just water behaving like water." Then he was gone, back through the hedge, leaving Marcus alone with a pebble and a mile-long ditch he'd never noticed in 6 years of driving past it.
The next morning, Marcus did not fix his mind. He didn't wake up light. He woke at 5:40 with the same 3 worries lined up and waiting, patient as ever. And for a moment he almost laughed at Otis's story, at himself for finding comfort in an old man's tale about a ditch. But he got a notebook. Cheap, spiral-bound, the kind Ellie used for spelling homework. And that first morning, instead of running the worry rotation in his head at the kitchen table, he wrote them down instead. Money, health, the kids. Nothing changed. The water still ran the exact same volume it always had. He just gave it somewhere other than his chest to go. Week 1, Reggie noticed him scribbling before shift and asked if he was writing his memoirs. Marcus said something about a to-do list and let it go. Week 2, Diane found the notebook on the counter, flipped through it, and didn't say anything, just looked at him a beat longer than usual before making coffee. He absorbed both without explaining. There was nothing to explain yet. The channel wasn't finished. By week 3, he'd added a second habit: 10 minutes on the back step before bed. No phone, just sitting where Otis had sat, watching the worry water move without either damming it or drowning in it. Some nights it barely trickled. Other nights it came in hard. A whole flash flood of nothing is actually wrong, but everything feels wrong. And he sat through those too, notebook open on his knee, letting it run into the pages instead of into his sleep. It cost him. He won't pretend it didn't. There were nights the notebook wasn't enough, when he lay awake anyway, furious at Otis, at the pebble, at himself for expecting a spiral notebook to outmuscle 19 years of habit. His shoulders still ached from carrying tension all day at a desk that had nothing to do with claims. His stomach still turned some mornings for no reason he could name. This wasn't magic. It was the same water. He was just digging, one shovelful at a time, a channel that hadn't existed before. Week 6 was when it happened, and it happened so quietly he almost missed it. Ellie asked him to watch her on the monkey bars. He looked up from the notebook, not from his phone, because the phone had somehow ended up staying in the truck 3 days that week, and he watched her, actually watched her, the worry water running somewhere else entirely, off to the side, doing its work without flooding the moment in front of him. That night, for the first time in longer than he could remember, he didn't need to check the lock at all. He'd already checked it once, and his mind, for once, let the fact be enough. The worrying never fully stopped. Marcus understood, by the time autumn came, that it wasn't supposed to. Some mornings still started at 5:40, with the tally already running. Mortgage, health, the kids. But the tally didn't own the whole day anymore. It had a place to go that wasn't his daughter's face, or his wife's patience, or his own stomach lining. It went into a notebook, and later into 10 quiet minutes on a step, and by the time he reached the breakfast table, there was less of it left to carry. He saw Otis again in October, raking leaves at the edge of his yard. Marcus crossed over. No hedge gap needed this time. "Still digging?" Marcus said. Otis nodded slow, like that was the correct answer to a question he hadn't asked. "Water still running?" "Every day. I just stopped fighting where it wants to go." Marcus looked back toward his own house, where the porch light was on and Ellie's silhouette moved past the kitchen window. "I used to think the goal was to make it stop. Turns out the goal was just to give it a job." Otis kept raking. He didn't need to say anything else. The boy had built his own channel now. The old man's part was done. That evening, Marcus sat on the back step with his notebook closed beside him, unopened, because there was nothing urgent enough that night to need it. The air was cool. Somewhere down the block, a dog barked twice and went quiet. The porch light buzzed faintly overhead. He didn't feel triumphant. He didn't feel fixed. He felt still, the particular stillness of a man who was finally given his own mind somewhere to run that isn't through the middle of his life. He checked the lock once out of habit and went inside. If this story meant something to you, like this video and tell me in the comments what channel you'd dig if your mind never let you rest.